Hey everybody, welcome to this interview in Staffing Monthly. I am excited to have Rick Richard here from StaffUpApp. When I think about technology in the staffing industry, and when I think about the tech stack from the staffing perspective, we all think about the ATS, and then we might think about some other things that you piece together. But really today, the ATS is kind of the minimum standard. And really the mobile application is where it's at, because we've already crossed the threshold of a mobile first society. So if you are a staffing agency and you want to be competitive and provide a better experience for your candidates and clients and really stay relevant and differentiate yourself from the competition, you need to have a mobile app. And there's a few ways to go about it, but I've actually invited an expert in this space, Rick from StaffUpApp, who is a strong technical background, which is why I wanted him here, because you know that I'm not. He actually brings a lot of, literally patent-worthy experience in the tech space of developing tools that have been allowed for registration and scheduling and all of the important stuff that goes into a staffing app that some technology platforms lack. And he's actually been leading and bringing that knowledge and leading StaffUpApp for the last 5 years to benefit the staffing space. So with all that, Rick, man, I'm glad to have you here. I know we've known each other for a little while, but I'm glad that you're going to share your wisdom today with this audience about why a mobile app is so important and what they can do to improve that. So thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
So really quick, I know I gave a little bit of your backstory, but why don't you just tell the viewers here right now is like, what is your involvement with staffing right now? Like, how are you engaged in the staffing industry today?
So my background is, I'm a software engineer by profession. I haven't actually done software for quite a few years. I've got an entire team around me, but I built a development company, about 10 or 12 years or so ago. And we built a lot of popular apps, a lot of national brand apps. I had a patent for a previous company where we built what's called AI today. It was really sophisticated machine learning for scheduling and roster building, that sort of thing. And in the development company, I would get staffing firms that would come to us, right? We're a pretty expensive development company in the Pacific Northwest. And they would want us to build an app or a system or anything related to enhancing their candidate experience, mostly around a mobile app. And it was pretty pricey, right? So, we wouldn't get a lot of takers. I got enough of these guys coming to me that I thought, we think we can build this, make it configurable, make it really modern, and just grow it like crazy. And present this to the industry as a mobile staffing platform. And so we've done. The earlier version was really geared towards a direct hire IT, but we've evolved so much that we have a fantastic onboarding process now. Shift scheduling, really deep communications, and all the things that a staffing firm needs to really engage candidates. So our journey came from really technical. And our company now is very technical as well, because we want to give a great product, but it's also the end result. We really need for the candidate to have a great experience. And now the staffing firm's clients to have a great experience, right? So it keeps evolving. I think that is by definition staffing, right? Staffing has this ability to evolve to things slowly sometimes, but they evolve to the current times. And we like being part of that journey.
So I'm glad to hear that, and I really do. I honed in on one point when you said slowly sometimes, because I don't know if you caught the recent Staffing Hub kind of state of staffing benchmark report, but one of the data points that they collected from the thousands of agencies that they surveyed was that really only 33% of the industry uses a mobile app, and I found that astounding. But I'm curious, from your perspective, being the expert in staffing mobile applications, like, why do you think that is? Why do you think agencies aren't using mobile apps more?
Well, first, I don't know how they built the numbers, right? I don't know what they asked. Did they ask if you have a brand new mobile app versus do you use an app in other areas? I think the number's a little high, but I don't know much about the background of it. But I would say fast forward 12 months from now and ask me again, and I think you're going to see a large section of the staffing industry has a mobile app, because it's evolving so fast. Candidates are asking for these things, right? But the reason I think they're slower to adopt it is because a lot of technology is new. Staffing platforms, automation, referrals, all this stuff is 5 or 6 years old, right? So for staffing, that's pretty new. right? No, staffing's when it's a new technology, staffing they don't jump right onto it. They wait a little bit, sometimes they wait too long. But in the case of technology, you can't in modern times wait too long, because then there's such a tight market, you're going to put yourself at a disadvantage. But staffing just waits a little longer to adopt, even hear about technology before they move forward on it. But once they do, what I like about staffing is that they hit their bottom line. The technology is for the bottom line, right? And now it's for the bottom line, but also the experience of your candidates, because you want to get these people coming back to you, referring you, right? So there's always dynamics that are happening in staffing. You throw into the mix that it's a tight job market, and all of a sudden, it's forcing staffing firms to accelerate. But normally they don't, because the technology that you're talking about is pretty new, I think.
I think it's funny so it really is different ends of the spectrum, because for a staffing agency, a technology that's 5 or 6 years old would be considered new. But for technology that's 5 or 6 years old, it's considered old in the technology world. So that it really is, it's kind of funny. And so then let's think about this, because there's a lot of great case studies out there for different industries, maybe more tech forward or tech progressive industries. But can you give me a case study or an example that you see in a different industry than staffing where a mobile app could make all the difference?
Oh man, there's so much now. I mean, it's almost ubiquitous. Would you bank at a bank that doesn't have a mobile app now, right? You couldn't do it.
I couldn't.
Right? You would not sign up with that bank. You think there is something wrong with this bank. Why don't they have a mobile app, right? And there's so many different industries that are like that now. Certainly, ride sharing. And now I think apps, staffing firms having their own app, so it goes in expected paths. It's just not always obvious, right? You wouldn't expected every bank to have a mobile app, 5 or 6 years ago, right? I know for a fact, I have a traditional bank like Wells Fargo and Chase, but I also have a credit union, right? Our credit union took a long time to get an app, but they've had an app for at least 4 or 5 years now, so they lagged behind. But literally, I could not today find a bank or a credit union that does not have a mobile app. And there's a reason for that. People are asking for it. It's the convenient way of interacting with the company you work with. So, these things that have their life cycles in the path. And it just depends on the industry, how fast they adopt to it. But it comes on in waves. It comes on when it's there so in such force that, it has to be dealt with. So, and that's where I think staffing firms are today. Let a staffing firm not have technology, automation, referrals, branded app, and try to compete with the firms around them. They're just going to have a hard time. By definition, a hard time.
I agree. And we had chatted earlier about the user experience. If you were to compare, the most common known apps, particularly social media, versus their online desktop website counterpart, even though they're mobile responsive and all that kind of stuff, the experience is just different. Like if you go to Facebook.com on a desktop, or even through a browser on your phone, or you go to Instagram, it's just the user experience is clunky. It's a little bit different because it has to live within the infrastructure of the internet versus, a mobile app where the experience is much better. And one other point I just thought about when you were sharing that is I've got so many apps on my mobile phone that I don't even know what I have anymore, right? So all I do when I want something, I got an iPhone, so I just swipe to the left and I'll just type search in the bar. And if I don't have it, it'll give me a link to the app store to go get the app. But if there's not an app, it'll give me a link to Safari to go look it up, right? And I'm always like, that's kind of weird that they don't have an app. So I start to judge the kind of the legitimacy or the street cred of anything I'm looking for based on if they have a mobile app now. So
and we're old, and we say this, right? Imagine
for yourself.
Imagine what a 40, 35-year-old or under are thinking, right? My God, what must go through their mind if the firm they're trying to work with doesn't have a mobile app. I couldn't tell you what that generation would think of that company. They would probably bypass it entirely and not even give it a second thought.
It's funny you say that. I was speaking to a group of HR professionals earlier today, and they mentioned, we were talking about where are all the applicants, and I showed the shift of the gig economy that's having. And the largest group that works in the gig economy are the 18 to 34-year-olds, which makes up more than a third of the entire gig economy. And it makes me wonder that this is a group that has never known a world without the internet. And most of them have never known a world without mobile apps, really, and I wonder if they just gravitate more towards the gig economy because it's convenient, because they can just, they have an Uber app or Lyft or Instacart or whatever, TaskRabbit, and they don't go get similar gig type jobs through a staffing agency because a staffing agency doesn't have that app functionality. I wonder if you're onto something with that age group as to why they're gravitating towards the gig economy versus temporary, which was the original gig economy.
I think that's part of it, probably a large part of it. But I also think, and this is non-scientific, just from talking to people, I think they also anticipate a hard time, right? If they see a firm, for whatever reason, they think that firm is dated or not modern and not having a presence in mobile or automation or other areas, I think that might send a message to them. Because can you imagine the drop-off rate that is current, and I think it's pretty high in terms of new candidates who apply or go to apply and drop off. The rate is very high. There's a reason for that, right? I think firms need to step back and say, what's the reason why we're getting candidates going to our apply site, not just to your website? They've actually clicked on apply, and they backed out of it for whatever reason, right? You've got to find that reason, and the modern user is going to tell you. I find it pretty fascinating. First, not only are they very savvy, in how to use mobile. Pretty much everyone is. So the reason the feedback we get is really, I think it goes across the board. We're focused on the under 40 range. They are so not nonchalant. They're so a matter of fact about it. They say things like, "Well, if there was a new position, why didn't I know about it? Why would I have to go look on your site for a position that I've already told you I'm interested in?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, or if there's you need to communicate with me, why are you sending me an email? I kind of chuckle about that because emails, there's all sorts of issues with emails today and increasing, but they always seem to focus around, why would you send me an email? It's almost like trying to call a millennial on the phone, right? My wife will call our kids on the phone and not get an answer. Then she'll immediately
text them right back, won't they?
Get an answer right back. Right.
They might even respond to the missed call with a text like, "Hey, what do you need?"
Bugs the heck out of her when they do that, right?
Yeah.
What they do
is just pick up the phone.
Yeah. So
which is funny. So this brings up a really good point, and this happens to me. Like, for some reason, I've got no issue seeing. I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I've got no issue seeing like 56 unread emails in my inbox. Like, I'm kind of desensitized to it. But man, if I've got a little red badge icon on anything, I got to go clear it out, right? So like, does StaffUp do that? Like, if I've got jobs open and they've been alerted to somebody, like, am I putting that red badge out? Is that something how it works? Am I misunderstanding it?
So it's funny you would say that, because I'm an engineer. Most of us are generally introverted, and we're very, we got to close things out, right? So if I see a red badge on anything, it just bugs me. I'm going to delete that app. I'm going to press on that button. One of two things are going to happen, right? But I can't have that red badge staring at me, right? So our shifts, of course, they do all the notifications you'd expect. Phone vibrates, it dings, and there's a badge sitting there for you. New job match, the same type of thing. Excuse me. So for sure we do that, and it has that great effect. I don't know if Apple and Google knew that would be the effect of the badge. Making people know there's something there, or if it was just I got to get rid of that thing. I got to see what it is and click on it. So
it is just dubious psychology, man. I don't know. I don't know if they did know, but if they did, man, they were evil when they figured it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is like, you just see that little red icon. It's like, oh, I got to fix this. It's like that warning light on your dashboard of the car. It's like, oh man, I got to go take care of this right away. But
exactly.
My inbox, I can look over here and see 56 unread emails. I'm like, I'll get to them tomorrow. But
same here.
That's funny. So obviously you're pushing jobs out, but the agency, I'm sure they can, but they're probably putting their jobs into their ATS, which is historically the core of the tech stack. So talk to me about how does the mobile app, how is it an extension of the ATS? Because we want to talk about tech stack this month.
So there's, that has a two-part answer. So for direct hire jobs, they're absolutely putting it in their ATS. The app show instantly, right? So you put in your ATS, it's in your app. There's no refreshing the candidate has to do. If there's a new job added or a change to an existing job that has a match for them, it tells them right away. Done deal.
Nice.
That stuff happens pretty easily. The new aspect is shift-based jobs, right? And most of them are not going in the ATS. Most ATSs just don't have shift abilities, right?
Yeah.
So they use our platform to enter their shifts and manage their shifts entirely. They use our staffing platform for a lot, actually. Even things they use the ATS for, they use in our system. But we push almost all data back to the ATS. So any notes you send out, any text messages you send out, any two-way chat messages in the app, all that is still stored in the ATS because we think it is the central deposit of your data. But ATSs are a little slow to do some of the more modern things. Firms can almost entirely manage their new candidate hire, placement, redeployment, communications, all that stuff through our staffing platform. I think that's just a modern way of doing it. The ATS is just where they have their all their data that they're putting in for other aspects of staffing. But to deploy, redeploy, communicate, onboard, all that sort of thing, they can do entirely from staffing platform.
So that's interesting. So really, because you've just kind of set up that bi-directional data sync and you've got the functionality on the mobile app, if you're a recruiter working for an agency that has whatever ATS linked to your mobile app, they can just operate right from the mobile app, which I'm guessing is probably a better user experience for the actual recruiter doing the work. And they can do everything through that, push notifications, message people, maybe even attach assignments, and it just gets kind of recorded back to the ATS. Is that right?
Yeah, so they today in our system, they can't launch all of that from their mobile app, right? We are releasing updates that the staffing firm can do all of that because that's a big request from ours. I don't want to be at midnight in bed and I get a request for a shift and have to get out and go to my desktop. So first things we're releasing. In fact, I think Q3 and 4 of this year, those items are being released. So there's all sorts of requests that we get for that sort of thing. So that's the next level of it. But yeah, other than that, the system fully manageable. Everything you do in your system is fully manageable for the app that you launch from your management console. And it's geared towards making those things you do, that core set of things, deployment, redeployment, communication, onboarding, really quick and easy to do. That may not always be easy to do in an ATS. If they even have that functionality, they can do in the platform and know that they've still got that data back in their ATS in most cases.
So you just triggered my mind on something that there was actually a software project that I was a part of years ago. And one of the features that we had was when a new user signed up, basically essentially a new application being created and maybe some skill sets identified, that it would kind of do a reverse lookup. It would basically search for any open jobs that matched, and it would automatically notify the new applicant. So it would say, hey, we see that you just applied for this one position with, Acme Staffing, but we also want to let you know that you're a match for, these other 3 open positions right now. Would you like to apply to these ones as well? Is there anything like any functionality like that now, or is something like that on the roadmap? That was fairly forward thinking back when I worked on it, but I wanted to know, what's your thought on something like that?
Yeah, I mean, our system does that pretty well. So right now,
Nice.
hires, they enter a new profile, they put in their keywords, they instantly see all matches for those keywords, and then we'll get, of course, notified in the future if anything changes or grows from that. So that's pretty instant. What we're also ability to do is, as soon as someone puts in a profile, a lot of firms have these getting started packets or pre-boarding packets they want to send out to a large group of people that not necessarily people who applied yet. They just want to, if you put in a profile, all right, well, tell me your basic, credentialing information or your driver's license, that sort of thing. So our system can send those out automatically based on the position they're applying for or general putting in their profile in the system. So that doesn't take a human element. The human elements I was talking about were for doing shifts and launching a more onboarding type process. Some of the things are just automatic. That seems natural that you should do that. And one is the matches. The other is sending out the pre-boarding set of documents. So yeah.
I love it, man. I think that's huge. And that really leads me into the next area that I just want to get into, because technology is amazing and it can do a lot of things. But really, when you're a staffing agency, you just got to figure out how to solve the problem that's in front of you. And the biggest problem that staffing agencies are facing, as we're discussing right now, is candidate shortage. Like, how do they get more candidates to fill their jobs? So I would love to hear your perspective on how an agency might approach that. And then how can a mobile app help with that?
I have a little bit of a caveat to that, because I think I do understand that the market is tight and there's lots of positions not being filled. But staffing firms tend to have this myopic type of focus on finding more people, hiring them, right? And I think that's for sure those should be doing. But they also need to step back and say, for everyone I've brought in, either a touch point I've had or that I actually did hire or that I actually did get a application from, they really should start thinking about expanding that market. Now, how do you cultivate that person? Continually sending them things that might interest them or communicate with them. Ask them for referrals. You don't have to have been placed somewhere for you to ask a person who you've had a touch point with for a referral. All you do is ask. You can't get a yes unless you ask, is what I say, right?
That's true.
So they should step back and do more of that too. Not just think, we've got to get somebody in this position, got to get somebody in this position. You've got to think in terms of, for everyone I've already gotten, let me let's farm that candidate pool better. And it's difficult to do via email, easier to do via text, right? But we make that even better. When you send out a text today, you send it out as a 10-digit number. So I don't know about you, but I always have my phone on pretty much as a silent mode or focus mode, where nothing really interrupts my call, because I get a lot of calls and emails and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
so I always glance at my phone to get it. When I glance at my phone, I see all these 10-digit numbers. The ones I really pay more attention to are the ones who I know are in my contact list, right? And I see the name, I know who it is, so I can respond faster. Some of the other 10-digit numbers may be totally valid text that came in that I need to respond to, but I definitely don't get to them first, right? Yeah. So in the app, and only an app can do this, when they install the app, we also put a contact for the staffing firm in the contacts list, so that a text from our system that goes to that device will come in as text from XYZ company. So it's even more recognizable, right?
Nice.
And then a level above that are in-app chats, right? So text messaging is great, but you can't send someone 5 text messages in a row. They're going to get annoyed, right? But you can send them 5 push notifications in a row that could have a ability to chat back and forth if you want, right? So you mix up your communications channel to them, and I think you get a better response and keep that candidate sticky. And I think that's the key for staffing firms, is not just go out and get more candidates to fill your positions. You've got to do something with every touch point you've ever had and that you are going to have, and think in terms of them as a renewable resource. You've got to think, at some point I can get a referral from them. At some point I can send them something that's useful to them. One of our firms in construction, light industrial construction, they not only send out push notifications for asking for referrals and that sort of thing, they also send out these nice little tips for their workday. Things that make them safer, or notes about something else in the area that might interest their workers. The point is, get them to being used to seeing your app icon come in as a push notification or a text, and responding from you, and not feel like they can ignore it or just swipe it away. I think the trick is to keep them engaged over time. And when you need to send them a hot job or ask for a referral or have a position that they're interested in or have a shift you need to fill from them, your app is right there in front and center, and it can be responded to a lot faster than some anonymous 10-digit number that comes in. So.
No, I think that's slick. I mean, you said so many great things there that I think can add value to the agency, because you're adding value to the candidate. But you picked up on one big thing with the referrals. And I know that I took a look at the website. I see that you're partnered with Staffing Referrals, which is, they do a great job. They're a super comprehensive, referral management program. But for the agency out there that maybe they don't want to go that far and they don't want to engage staffing referrals just yet, you're saying that there's actually still the referral component or benefit that they can get natively out of the mobile app already, right? Out of the box.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, our referral system is really slick, really easy. You know, one click away, go into your contacts, and you send a referral out. It tracks all that in your ATS and also in our system. So any referral you get or comes into you, it's also recorded in the notes for that candidate. So it goes across your recruiters. So you always have that as a reference. We just integrate with really good vendors, and that we insist that, you know, it's got to be a really smooth mobile experience for the candidate. And so we partner with Staff and Referrals for that. You know, it's really a smooth process. You know, if you want that more comprehensive referral system, or you're already a Staff and Referrals client, you know, it works just really well. It's just a natural and native way of doing it.
I think that's awesome. I want to come back to something that we spoke about at the top of this before we actually got kicked off, and that's the onboarding piece. And that is something, when you think about the pandemic and what happened with the digital transformation, the contactless onboarding that's compliant became front and center. And it was a big kind of call out to most agencies that didn't have a tool. And there's really only a few good compliant players that can actually do this really well. So can you just spend a minute and tell me about what that contactless onboarding system looks like when you do it through a mobile app?
Yeah, so first, contactless onboarding is fantastic, right? You know, whether it's through desktop or mobile app, it's just a modern way of sending out your onboarding documents or credentialing. So we compare ourselves well to any of the providers out there, desktop wise. No, we do the same thing. You can run our onboarding on your desktop if the person doesn't have the app. It's all seamless to you. You send out an onboarding from our system. It sends an email with the onboarding link. They can scan a QR code. They can download the app from it, or they can start their onboarding direct from the desktop. Most already have the app, so it goes into the app as well. And it's very TurboTax like once it comes into the app, you know.
Nice.
Fields that don't need to be completed aren't seen by the candidate. Fields are pre-filled from data in your ATS, right? If it's in the case of things like direct deposit, we connect with Plaid, like you and I discussed, right? So you connect with Plaid, it pulls your account and routing number, pre-fills the onboarding for you already, and then they don't have to make any mistakes in flipping those 6 and 9s in their routing number, right? If they enter it manually, we tell them if we found a bank that matches their routing number, right? And we tell them if we didn't find a bank, so it's a red flag, you know. So less mistakes happening on direct deposits. You'd be surprised. I think it's like 15 to 20% or so mistakes happen on onboarding because of the routing number. Usually, people get the account number correct because they know it a little more familiar.
Yeah.
The routing number is a big problem because they're always flipping numbers around or dropping numbers.
And the employee, and they don't care. Like if they show up on payday and they don't get paid, it doesn't matter if they're the ones that mess it up or someone at the agency messed it up. Like, it doesn't matter. You just got an upset employee because they didn't get paid. So the fact that you've got some safeguards in place during the process is just, it's smart. I think that's huge.
They were trying to make it really modern and seamless. It's all mobile. It's not a web a site on your mobile app for onboarding that is done by a mobile desktop. It is truly native mobile. You know, it does things like I said, if the field doesn't need to be filled in, it's not. If it doesn't need to be seen, it's not. We pre-fill from your ATS data. So really make it seamless. They can finger sign it on the app. If you say a signature is required, they can finger sign it. In the case of I-9, as soon as the section 1 is complete, the section 2 is sent to the employer or the designated person. Completed, and then the completed I-9 is sent to your ATS and uploaded in the documents folder of the candidate. If you use E-Verify, and you give us your E-Verify information, we connect directly to your E-Verify and send the case directly through to E-Verify. And you see all the results and can handle any of the replies in E-Verify, and verify the documents and all the things you got to do. So really make it seamless to process documents that you would normally have to be involved in along the way more than if you have a fully automated process.
I love it. So now I'm going to throw a wish list item at you, because staffing is always about the person, the candidate. And then because it's about the candidate, it's about the client once you have them. But I feel most technology overlooks sales. in some way, shape, or form. So do you have that same functionality with like proposals and contracts on the client side? So if I'm a salesperson selling, could I have a contract template uploaded in StaffUp app? And when I go to a meeting, could I just like pop it open and just update the proposal numbers, name of the company, maybe the markup or the bill rate based on what we decide, and then send it over and they could just sign it with their finger? And does it work like that, or is that?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give the short answer, but it's actually a longer answer because it's somewhat nuanced, right? So you can send a client document same way you would with a candidate, but it's a separate system. It's one of the aspects of a staffing platform. You can manage your clients as well on our system, right?
Okay.
So you just have your clients, all the contacts. At any point, you can do something like, add a contact to a timekeeping location as the approver. You can send your onboarding documents to any of your clients. And all the same workflow happens. This goes out to them as a digital document. They can do it on their desktop, or if they have the app, they can do it on an app. Generally, clients are doing it on the desktop because the app is more for the candidate. But you could, they installed your app, they could do the same thing. Generally, they do it on the desktop. So they get all the same workflows you would expect, and the same document comes up and stores into our system under that company's record. So you can easily go into any company you've got in the system, look at their contacts, their documents you sent out to them, and other aspects of managing that client within the platform.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I appreciate that because that's a little bit more, I guess, recognition of the sales part of the process than most technology platforms typically give us. So I appreciate the love there. And as we're getting near the end, there's a question that I want to ask is, when I think about the staffing industry and how they're a little bit slow to adopt technologies, and some of it's because we're super busy, hair's on fire all the time. Other times it's just you're unsure of it. What does the implementation look like? Let's say that I'm a staffing agency right now and I don't have a mobile app. And let's say I'm using one of the mainstream kind of well-known ATSs, right? Any one of them. And if I want to get a mobile app, like what does that process look like to get set up? Because I know mobile apps historically are super expensive. I've quoted them in the past and they're just a lot of money. You said it yourself, you work for an agency that it was super expensive to build an app. So like, how does that work? Is it really expensive? What's this integration process or implementation process look like if an agency wanted to get going with something like this and benefit from it?
Yeah, so the pricing is pretty straightforward. We think it's very reasonable. It's SaaS-based, so it's monthly. It's an agreement. We require 1, 2, or 3 year agreement. So we have steep discounts as you move down to 1, 2, or 3 years. Almost everything is built into our base app. Communications, uploading your videos to your jobs, which we didn't talk about, was super popular.
What? We're coming back to that one. Continue.
Yeah, clients are loving it. So we have to do another podcast to go into some of the nuanced elements of the system. But all that is built into the base of our app. But then if you want onboarding or timekeeping and scheduling, then it's a separate tier, right? So it's based on your volume. So there's no set price for that. It just depends on how many you have. Then we build that into the pricing and be reasonable about how.
So it's just a monthly fee.
Yes. Yeah, we take 30 days from start to finish. Unless you have heavy onboarding documents. If you have 150 onboarding documents, sure, it's going to take us longer because we actually do an analysis of all your documents. We ask you to do it first. If it's a staunchy older document, can you remove the fax line maybe? Right? So, that sort of thing. Right. So we do a quick review of all your documents. And then most documents don't actually indicate if the field is required or not, right? So we ask, okay, which fields are required? Which fields are defined by? Can you tell us this ID you're asking for? Is it a format? Like, are you saying it has to start with a letter and end with a number kind of thing? If you can, then we can enforce that, right? So there's no mistakes on them entering any fields that you have defined on your forms. So it takes a little more time. If they're pretty straightforward, and you say, we don't care, it's just text, or all the information for what's required and isn't, it's pretty clear on the form. It goes pretty quick. So pretty much from start to finish, we can get you your branded app in the App Store and in the Google Play Store, and all your documents set up, get you all set up for if you're doing shift-based or direct hire. All that is about a 30-day process.
Wow. So it's pretty simple. And you probably don't need an IT guy or a tech expert in-house to oversee it. It seems like maybe as long as you're familiar with recruiting and onboarding and you understand that the process, working with your team is really all you need, right?
Yeah, if you need an IT guy to manage our system, we failed. It's not. Yeah, absolutely not.
Appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, we work with most ATSs. We've got full integrations in most of the big ATSs. Down to some of the smaller ones. So most ATSs now have a open API, and you just get basically your credentials for that API provided to us, and then we can connect and pull your jobs down and send information back to your ATS, like notes and that sort of thing. So.
Okay, all right. So I know I said that was like one of my last questions, but you mentioned this thing that is slick. So you said videos in jobs. So you're telling me, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, but if I'm a recruiter and I've got a job that I want to broadcast out, I could literally just like do a quick video and be like, hey, let me tell you about this job and actually post it. Do I understand it that?
Yeah. So I could show you, when I show you the app, I'll show you some more of the nuances of it. But we didn't really expect the way candidates would respond to videos. A client asked us for it a couple of years ago. We built it in, and the response has been tremendous. Just seeing the play button on a job probably gets 10 times the looks of a same job without the play button.
Yeah.
Some of our firms are doing it really well. They do a polished little 5 or 10 second video. The recruiter is talking, is produced, but those don't do all that much better than the ones that the recruiter just took a video of themselves and talk about either the position, the particular type of client, or just that industry in particular, like why it's exciting or why you want to work with them, that sort of thing. It doesn't have to be long. We do something really cool. Once they upload that video, I don't know if you know this, but if you upload an iPhone video, it can only be played on iPhone devices, right? So what we do is we take a video you upload from iPhone or Android, any device, and we convert it, and it can be played anywhere. So an iPhone video can be played on an Android device. Android device can be played on your website. So we give this link back to you that not only is the video in the job on the app, you can also take that link and put it in your regular job postings that you put on Indeed or anywhere else on your website or whatever. It's your video, and it's just compounds the use and effectiveness of that 5 to 30 seconds you took to create a video. They get great response.
I imagine. I mean, if you think about how popular TikTok is, and that's really a lot of it's just, kind of phone in your face, recording content. Yeah, there's filters and you can do some, but for the most part, it's just authentic, me to you messaging. And if you can kind of emulate that sort of piece within your recruitment, that is going to resonate well. People are going to click on that because it's almost muscle memory. If you, on any social media feed, if you see a video, your thumb is just going right for the play button.
And there's no extra charge for that. So I want to make that clear. A lot of our firms, if something costs, they start thinking like, oh, I can't send another text out. I'm going to hit my limit and be charged for it. Yeah. So we don't have that sort of thing. And for videos, you say, you can upload audio videos. There's no cost to uploading videos, so there's no reason not to do it. So we try to eliminate things that would firms might avoid doing because they don't want the added cost to it. So in the things that we think enhance the candidate experience. So generally, we make that built into our system.
That's smart, man. That honestly, like when you think about those limits, it reminds me of like those people that are like with a lease and they're like, oh, I can't drive because I don't want to go over my miles. Or those people like back in the day, like I can't make the phone call because I don't want to go over my minutes, right? Like you think about that and it's like, you don't ever want to have your life impacted or devalued based on those types of limitations. And in this world, it's your business life. And that's, I appreciate that, man. So that's big time. So really free included features, standard option, video functionality for jobs, which is really the future of job advertising, right? So that's huge that you're on the forefront of that and you're giving your clients that. So what else, if you're talking directly to our viewers, the staffing, owner, the staffing executive manager, what do you want them to know about StaffUpApp that we've not covered yet?
Yeah, I mean, no real sales pitch line other than say, we're in staffing to make the candidate and client experience better. it's our sole focus. We just love the industry. We think there's so much growth and opportunity to help firms and help ourselves and do a great job all around by providing a product that your candidates love and makes your job easier and gets you faster deployments, more referrals and more repeat business. It's the model of our business is to service the candidate, and we're just loving the whole staffing industry. And we just do a great job for firms. We just we're very happy to be in this industry, and we're very happy to make firms more efficient and more modern.
I think that's great to hear. And I got to say two things just to emphasize on that is that I've talked to, users of StaffUpApp, and, they always comment how accessible you are, and being the leader of the organization, like, that's just kind of nice to know that if you need to get to the, the person at the top, that you can. So that's a nice thing too. The other side of it that I heard you say a couple of times is you listen to customer feedback, and that steered your development roadmap. And that is so refreshing to hear, because I don't know how many times I've sat in conversations with staffing owners or executives, and they're like, who builds this stuff? And it's like, oh, it's just some technology company building something that's technology, but they don't really know about staffing. So the fact that you're actually listening to the customer feedback and letting it, kind of the voice of the customer, right? The VOC, and you're letting it steer your development roadmap a bit is also refreshing to hear. So I appreciate that.
You get to have great conversations with people and talk about their business and their wish list of items. We really enjoy that, and we get so much out of it. And we give them something back from it by doing the things that we talked about that fit into our roadmap, right? Where we can make configurable. They get back, for just being open to us and telling us about their industry and their pain points. And it's really, there's no magic about it. It comes from a background in contracting, where my firm built so many apps. You got to talk to people. Right. And so it's natural evolution of that. And it's just more specific to staffing.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I'll shout out to the allegedly, 67% of the industry that isn't using a mobile app today, according to Staffing Hub's data over there. If you're not, there's no reason not to take a look at StaffUpApp. You've got 30-day implementation, depending on how complex your stuff is. It's super easy, monthly subscription. I'm not trying to be over promotional or pitch from the pulpit, but I'm just recapping what I've heard, in our conversation with Rick. And you're going to get, an amazingly seamless, compliant onboarding process. You're going to get bi-directional data sync with your ATS to make sure your data is all there. You're going to get, video job ads. That's huge. You're going to get timekeeping ability and shift scheduling ability and all these things that are really becoming very prevalent in our industry. That's going to be the future of work, so there's really no reason to not, at the very least, go to their website and learn more, or just click on the book a demo just to take a closer look at it. And I know I'm excited to see the latest versions that you talked about. So I'm going to do that as well. But I appreciate you, Rick. Is there what's the best way? I know I just kind of gave the website and the book a demo. I kind of stole your thunder there a little bit, but what's the best way that they should reach out to you if they want to learn more?
I think the website is best, but someone can always send me an email directly. Rick@StaffUpApp.com. That's it, right?
See, you're accessible.
I
love it, man. I'm grateful for your time. I always enjoy our conversations, and I swear to you, every time we talk, you're just revealing a new feature that I think is just mind-blowing to me. So awesome. Keep developing, keep listening to the customer, and keep improving the staffing industry, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate the time.